Hello, Army. How are you? Borhe. This is Nisha M, your geek mom, Nisha T. Monchan from Living Bangtan 7 and Diversely Geek. And we are live here, and we are a little bit early today. We're playing with the time, as we told you last week, and hoping that we can actually have make it easier for Army who are globally to be able to jump on and join us for our shows, especially my wonderful co-host who's 8 hours on the other side of the world, our lovely Angela. And then we have so many, and then so many wonderful Army who have been repeat and keeping up with us. And I feel bad sometimes that we're, it's at a time that may not work for them, but we're trying our best. Thank you so much, Army, for coming back and for being here with us. So give us a little bit, and welcome to episode 2 of We Are Bulletproof, the dynamic duo, BTS Army. And ready to come.
We are Bulletproof.
Welcome to episode 7, BTS and Army, the dynamic duo, with myself and our lovely Angela from Doha, and for 40 million fans across the globe. We have created this 3-part series to help Army across the world who may need some support systems to be able to show the benefits, the relevancy, the emotional and social emotional impacts and influences, positive, of being part of the BTS Army engine, and just how much being part of Army actually fuels your wellness. We had our first episode last week where we just introduced what it meant to be Army, because I don't think a lot of people really know that there's so many different ways to be Army. And we focused on the research to show a little bit about, give some weight and impact to the social, emotional, aspect of it, and how we are a key example, one of the largest in the globe actually at this time, and also a key example of a socially healthy, connected community.
Right.
That was
that was kind of our big conversation last week, was how being a part of that large community, but yet in some ways we're all kind of in our own little armies, right? And we have those connections to people, and that's what's really been some of the most amazing takeaways out of being a part of Army is the people that you meet and the support system that you get, and that was a great conversation last week.
It really was. One of the things that you're going to notice with Angela and myself, as we are talking, we actually will stop because we're pondering what each other are saying. I mean, we create what's called a storyboard. It's something that I kind of dreamed up ages ago, because I do speak as an expert in fandom on diversity, inclusion, mental wellness, and self-care, because that's my research specialty. And a lot of times I find that the best way for people to work together in this kind of environment is to be able to have a common connector. So I created the storyboard aspect, or the storyboard structure, for us to just get to know each other ahead of time and really have that connection, so that we hear each other, we respect each other, and we're not speaking over each other. And I do apologize, because sometimes I do that to you, so sorry. My brain thinks ahead of me, but
that's true. I do it. I know. It's like there's so many great things you want to say that come to your mind. It's true.
It's so hard. I mean, this conversation is extremely relevant for us, because as being Army, but not just because of that. Oops, sorry, forgot to turn my volume down. Because as you know, I'm running the all of the social media at the same time. So please bear with me if you don't see me eye to eye, guys, because I'm doing that at the same time. So basically, I think what we're doing in the long run is we're getting the lucky blessing of being able to talk our way through understanding how we got here. How did we get to where we are? Right?
Right. It's a journey, and everyone has such interesting stories to tell, kind of how they became Army, when they became Army, and kind of how it's helped them. Like we were talking last week, a lot of people have gone through some really hard times, and being an Army has been like that with them on that journey.
Yeah. Or has helped to be that support structure, which is where we at Bulletproof come from, and why that song is so. The song is emotionally connected, but honestly, the music video, it's never going to not mean so much, because while they went through the pain, while they went through the ridicule and the oppressions and the suppressions, we were going through it with them. A lot of people don't understand what the original Army actually had to deal with themselves as they supported a very unsupported rookie group. So, I mean, that's well documented. Like I said, there are quite a few documentaries out there by Army groups, which in and of itself is such a powerful statement that so many groups felt the need to be able to give credence and to be able to show the weight of what it means to have grown as Army, And to be fair, like every single one of themselves, you're just as much Army today if you joined today as if you joined when I did, or if you joined, pre-debut or with debut. We're all Army. We're just Army in different ways. And when it was our time, it's our time.
That's right.
All right. So we have a lot to present to you today. We really went through and tried really hard to make sure we were doing this correctly, because we don't want to not give you this. So you're going to see a lot more video reel content today than we normally do. Just bear with us as we do it, because some of them are longer and they have a lot of relevance and meaning in what we're doing. So we don't want you to miss out on that. So bear with it. And also these reels will be available on our Facebook page. 2 of them were already loaded today on our YouTube page, and 2 more will be loaded on Instagram and TikTok, I believe, in this next 2. So try and follow us on everything if you can, because we're not going to put the same content on all of our different sites. Everything's going to have something a little bit different. Sounds good? All right, so let's go.
Very exciting.
I'm so excited for this. There's so much to talk about today.
This is true.
So let's go. I'm going to put up the little tile. So we decided, instead of just saying that, we're going to put up this tile so you could follow along with us. And hello, everyone. We are Living Bangtan 7, or a platform that DG, or Diversely Geek, created. I have to keep putting it up. This thing goes so slow. It goes so fast. Sorry. To bring you wellness discussions, content, and musings based on the healing, positive messages of Bangtan Sonyaran. The name means living bulletproof 24/7, and our purpose is to help us all learn how to live confidently with self-love throughout the day, protected by the support and love of BTS and Army. And Living Bulletproof 24/7 is a reminder of the power the Bulletproof or Bangtan philosophy has as a source of healing, healthy coping, and support when we are struggling to believe in ourselves. And as I say every week, I sincerely hope that we are able to get this message across to you, and that we are a source of light for you as well as BTS has been for us. All right, my dear Angela, what do you have planned for our Army today?
Well, very exciting, because we ended up, when we first talked about doing some shows on Army, we ended up talking about kind of 3 different parts. So together is really talking about together we are bulletproof today, kind of how from the early beginnings of Army until today, How are we a dynamic duo today? Kind of this legendary, probably will be a historical partnership. I've seen different numbers, but for 40 million is an estimation I saw of Army across the globe may feel isolated or alone, struggling to explain just how emotionally supportive being part of BTS Army is. We wanted to provide a little history today. Where did some of the origins of Army come from? What would we have been called if we weren't called Army? Maybe that's a bit of a kind of a trivia piece. A little bit on some research. I know that, Nisha, you have some research and things on
We do.
some of the history. Testimonies from fans. We have some interesting facts like Celebrity Army. So I think it's a great show today. We have a lot. But next week will be our third part. This is part 2 of 3.
It is. And next week, we're going to actually be focusing on the dynamo that is known as BTS Army. So what that difference is, next week, we actually will be showing you the work that Army has been doing over the last 8 formative years, because that's where we've been able to track backwards about 8 years. But in the last 5 years, the work that we've done as a organized global unit, it's interesting. I say organized. It's crazy because we may be organized by country, but there's just this intuition, that helps us. And how one in an army became, I guess, like a catalyst or a glue that kind of brought all of that together to be able to bring the work that we're doing as Army, charitable, altruistic, and advocacy-wise, just to bring it all into one place so we can see just how literally phenomenal we are. We can affect positive change across the SDGs, and we have been for so many years. And it's almost as if we were a teeny little country with the amount of power that we've had in being able to do as much as we had. So next week, that's what we're going to be discussing. Oh my God, I have to tell you, this has been the most fun this week and a half, because the research, like the more you dig, the more you find things that I didn't realize I hadn't found to this day. So I'm so excited to bring you some of those. All right, I'm going to just play our next little promo tile as we move on. Ready? So Bangtan never had any concept. They never dreamed of making it as idols. They had no concept of a global, even though they dreamed of becoming idols, they have no concept that they could possibly have become as much of a powerhouse as they have in the in terms of superstardom that now transcends language barriers, race, age, demography, and gender. Nor did they believe that they had the words, message, and personas that would change the music world forever. But we know now as Army that that's exactly what they've done. How they've been able to affect this change. So we're going to play a little bit of a reel. Just bear with me a little bit. Our Army timeline is a long reel. Bear with us because it is over three minutes long, but you do have to see it because it's fleshed out from as early back as we could. It doesn't have everything included, but it's a pretty good timeline. So I was hoping that we would have some more viewers. They are starting to come on now, thankfully. Yay.
I think the comments we might not be getting comments right now.
I'm looking, I'm trying. So
okay.
Yeah, you know how we're having that issue here and again. So I'm trying really hard to
bear with us. We love to see the comments.
Bear with us because it did it again. Yeah, so YouTube just did the same thing it had done to me before, where it turned off the chat feature. So I'll fix that as we're moving along here. I do apologize for that. And I'm pretty sure that our chat is working on Facebook, because I think that was me. I just sent a message. We know that one's working. And here we're starting to get some Army. I will probably I'll put the banner on, and just understand when we're playing these, we can't talk. So we'll talk our way through it after. And I am about to pay the Army timeline. I would say try not to cry, but you're gonna cry. So just
Try not to.
go with it, man. There's no way around it. All right.
저희 팬 사인회가 끝이 났는데 어떻게 다들 즐거우셨나요? 네! 네, 이렇게 다들 정말 많은 팬분들이 와주셔서 정말 감사하고요. 그럼 2차 팬 사인회에 대해서 이제 많이들 궁금해 하시는데, 이제 제 공식 카페에 이제 올라갈 거예요. 네. 그리고 잘 확인해 주시고, 오늘 너무 많은 분들이 와주셔서 감사했고요. 정말, 네. 감사합니다. 네. 감사합니다.
네.
반지!
네. 그렇고요. 네, 조심히 돌아가시고. 저는 지금까지 빡! 소년단이었습니다. 둘, 셋, 빡! 감사합니다.
아미 여러분들이 한마디 한마디 해주시는 게 저희한테 정말로 큰 힘이 되고 또 실망시키지 않는 방탄소년단이 될 테니까 잘 지켜봐 주세요. 감사합니다.
맞습니다. 네, 늘 사랑합니다, 고맙습니다라고 표현을 하려고는 하는데 그게 굉장히 어렵습니다. 네, 그래도 이 자리에서 이제 제 마음을 조금 표현을 했으니까 사랑합니다.
정말 어떤 사람인지 또 어떤 사람이 되어야 하는지 정말 많이 깨닫는 것 같고요. 그래서 저희한테 고마운 존재입니다. 또 진짜 더 열심히 할게요. 정말 감사합니다. 저희는 지금까지 방탄소년단이었습니다. 둘, 셋! 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
The seven boys. Now it's a great, and I don't want to say great. It's a huge wave, consisting of various people, and what they ignore is the existence of the army. Different races, different genders, so many kinds of people are really meaningfully involved in this name of BTS. I just want people to know that.
That's some amazing footage from some of their early fan meets. You might know, I mean, my question, to you would be, was there already established army? I think in the timeline, though, it was not until after some of those early debut.
What's funny is we forgot to did we put July 9th of 2013 was the official birthday?
Okay, right. That was the birthday, yeah.
No, pre-debut started many months before, but most of the pre-debut live interaction started, I would say, about November to December of the year before. So we didn't officially, during that time, we didn't have the name, right? But we were Army. It's just that we were that name at the time. And there are people who were pre-debut, like our Bella, who will eventually sometime, who's in Australia, who's our team member, is an OG pre-debut Army. She's been here since the get-go and has been here the entire time. I was so hoping we'd have her on with us for this show of all shows. It's her. But so to understand, there's the timeline that we officially count is July 9th. But if you notice, we actually have it to we started at pre-debut. So there were the V lives that they started from November or December of 2012, of which V wasn't literally any of those because he was the surprise element, so he wasn't live until after. But from April of 2013, they had started to try and do some live interaction, but I know we had one that was, I believe, in the timeline, June 14th. So it was 2 days. There was an event 2 days after. There was an event two weeks after. And July 9th, of course, was the official announcement of who we are and who we were. So we do have it. But one of the things with that is I read a little bit about the person who owns the reel that I was going to play. And honestly, they didn't want us to repost it, even if it was in this context. I didn't have time to reach out to them. So please understand if I've done that, I hope I haven't offended in all of my reels. You say that obviously, we celebrate and we give all thanks and gratitude to the original Army who it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to find the boys when they had an event. It's not like these things were marketed. It's not like they had a larger marketing engine that JYP or SM or some of the other organizations had. At the time, it was a much smaller organization, and they didn't have the financial wherewithal to be able to probably put on things like they did. So, that being said, the OG Army being able to find them when when marketing was put out, because they were using Twitter, so Twitter was the main thing. The cafe wasn't fully fleshed out at that time. It became fleshed out afterwards, at least from my understanding. I could be wrong, but from my understanding, I personally wasn't on the cafe myself for a year and a half, late. So I don't know what happened prior to that. Okay, so we did the timeline, and what we wanted to do now is, if anyone has any questions, is a good time to let us know a little bit about what your questions are. We don't want to, overstep boundaries or say something that we don't know is the truth. So we're doing our best to only present to you what was, what is researchable. So as we said, BTS and Army and the dynamic duo for the 40 million fans across the globe, we have to remember that started, that started somewhere, right? So I drove really deep back into the timeline, and I found that Army projects started pretty early. They started pretty early. I would say towards the end of the first year, early into the second year, 2014, I started to see some things showing up. So I thought that was commendable. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to play for you the first part. Okay, so in November of 2013, the boys had a first, like, an official fan meetup. So June, I think 14th was the outside fan meetup, and that's the image that we showed earlier. But I use those reels, as you know, because I don't want to do that. It's not appropriate to do that. But what we did instead was create a reel, and we're going to show you only a first part of it, of BTS reading their first letters of appreciation that they wrote to Army. And again, like I said, bear with us. This is a lot of reels, but we're establishing the heart-to-heart connection of the timeline of the of our relationship. So sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go into BTS reading the first letters of appreciation.
가끔 아미들을 보면 그런 생각이 들곤 합니다. 누군가에게 누군가를 저렇게 열렬히 지지하고 또 응원해 본 적이 있었나. 뒤돌아보면 전 참 철저하게 저만을 위해서 살아온 것 같아서 굉장히 부끄럽기도 하고, 그런 저에게 누군가에게 어떤 식으로든 제 마음을 표현한다는 거는 사실 생각도 해보지 못했던 일이었어요. 불과 100여일밖에 되진 않았지만 아미들을 보면서 제가 세상을 보는 방식도 또 제 인생관도 많이 변하고 있지 않나 싶습니다. 하루하루 여러분께 많은 것들을 배우고 있습니다. 저는 여러분을 실망시키는 일이 세상에서 가장 두렵습니다. 항상 말해왔듯이 여러분이 없으면 저도 없으니까요. 아미들, 내가 꿈을 이루면 나는 또 누군가의 꿈이 된다고 합니다. 저는 그런 사람이고 싶습니다. 여러분 모두의 꿈이고 싶어요. 그게 저의 역할인 것 같습니다. 오늘보다 내일이 더 좋고 내일보다 모레가 더 멋진 그런 리더, 그런 아티스트, 랩몬스터가 되겠습니다. 사랑합니다.
사실 예전은 즐겁다고 생각한 적은 많이 없었던 것 같아요. 지금 생각해보면 준비를 하면서도 이 길이 맞을까라는 의심으로 시작을 못한 것들도 많네요. 아미 여러분들을 만나고 항상 웃고 긍정적인 사람으로 바뀌게 된 것 같아 고마운 마음을 전달하고 싶네요. 이제 저희로 인해 여러분들이 늘 즐거우실 수 있도록 노력하고 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
분의 몸은 지쳐도 저희를 응원해주시는 아미분들을 만날 때마다 힘이 됩니다. 저희 방탄소년단이 존재하는 이유인 아미, 낯간지러운 말들 잘 못해서 표현하기 서툴어서 그런 거지 제 마음은 다 아실 거라고 믿고 있겠습니다. 너무 사랑하고 감사합니다. 사랑합니다, 아미.
Those are great.
They are, aren't they?
I mean, and I think there's like a common, they all kind of have this common thing about Army being their support system. And especially when you think about, the beginning of both Army and, the group is how much they needed fans. They needed people to kind of support them in their dreams. And we gave them support. I wasn't there in that very early beginning, but it was a hard road. And I think, I think that's the reason they tear up, right? Is because they realize they do have people that love them and adore them and support them. And that was, I think, hopefully a big momentum that pushed them through some of those really challenging times, knowing that Army was behind them.
I'm going to agree with you on that one, because everything that I could see, if you go back on Twitter to the very early, you can go on Twitter today and you can scroll by and put in a date, a date search, and you're able to pull up the pre-debut tweets. And so that actually is a lot of between that and YouTube, it's a lot of how I was able to hone in and really be able to collaborate and coordinate what was, what was the actual timeline. You should go back and just look at those tweets from the very earliest days. The boys were so lovely. The one thing I wanted to say is their humility is just it's just almost untenable. It has not changed an ounce. Not from the pre-debut days to the debut days to the year after debut to 5 years, to 2015 when they started to transcend and become a global phenomenon, to 2020 when they literally smashed records, all the way till now. Their humility hasn't changed a bit.
No.
Not a bit. No.
No. And their love for Army. I mean, they constantly say it, express it, come onto their lives. And even though, like Yoongi was like, my body is so tired, but seeing Army gives me energy. And I think there's still that kind of lifeline connected to each other. Mhm.
I mean, look at the telling nature of both Jin and well, first of all, let me just step back. Namjoon's statement.
Yeah.
And those were the final ments that I showed you earlier.
Right.
So I actually played this backwards, so bear with me on it. But those final ments, those statements that he made about the ones he made about himself are the same ones we can make about ourselves.
Right.
I didn't know I could exist as who I am today until I found you.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us have said that?
Right.
How many of us have had a living experience where being Army, being a fan of BTS has helped us to ground ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
be able to understand a lot more of who we are as human beings,
Right.
well, who are willing to be or who are willing to accept as ourselves. Does that make sense?
Right.
And then you had Jin right behind that saying the exact same thing to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? What did he say? He said, I didn't, all the way through debut, he still wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we knew that followed him for a long time. It took him a while to be able to feel his sense of confidence that
Right.
he belonged in this space,
Right.
because his beginnings were a little bit different than everyone else.
Right.
But then you look back at the KBS interviews, which I didn't show that part, and doesn't he say almost the same things?
The same thing. Well, and talking about his family, and being his mother being proud of him. And I think, seeing that Army was there supporting him at some of those smaller events, to, of course, now the world stage, that was Army that helped say to him, keep going, keep going, keep going. We believe in you. And I think hopefully that helped him kind of push through those times where he lacked confidence.
I think he said, and I may have that quote here, so let me see if I can find it for you. He said, and you have a few more quotes, I think, that you're going to show a little bit later. Yep. But there's a quote, and I wanted to show it simply because it's pretty incredible. This statement is incredible to me. I think when you read it, you don't realize the depth of what we're saying here. He said, because there's Army, I was able to experience places that other people say is the desert, like the sea. That means something that is dire, maybe dangerous, maybe dark, full of difficulty, and and you're literally parched and you're suffering. Because of Army, he was able to experience all of that as if he was basking and swimming in the ocean.
Right.
I mean, that's a level of incredibleness that I just, And because of that, they always give us positive energies. But then again, okay, and I'm going to say this again, and tell me how you feel from the teacher-parent perspective.
Yeah.
This statement he made here, and the other one that he made, and then the one Hobie made. It's a two-way. It's a two-way, right?
Right.
Want to talk a little bit about
that? You do get a vibe. You do get energy from people, whether you enter a room or maybe you enter. I mean, you felt that when you were standing with Army in line, ready to enter one of the venues. It is energy like I've never felt before.
Never.
And you can feel that. I mean, even, with some of the challenges, in SoFi or some of the challenges in Busan, you still had people with great energy. And Army is amazing. I mean, everyone's so supportive, reaching out, helping each other, anything that's in need, when we're at these venues, we're all there for the same purpose. Once you're in the venue, it is a feeling of energy, and I cannot imagine what they feel like when they come out on stage and feel, Army's love. It's 2 to 3 hours of an amazing partnership, and I think people feel like that. It's almost like when someone said, leaving those venues, you have a little bit of post-concert kind of depression because you're leaving those venues and you're like, where's my army? Where are they? You know, you see people, the first couple of concerts I went to, I was like, where is everybody? I miss them so much. And it was really missing Army as much as missing them.
Just remembering.
I mean, I cried for days after SoFi, days. And I had the long flight back, to where I live. And it wasn't just that, but it was also being around Army and talking to them outside the stadium and seeing where everyone was from. The Army knitting, Army around the trees in SoFi. I mean, just so many little touches that Army did that, connect and everyone feeling just, great energy, regardless of the concert, outside of that, once the concert, of course, but having that whole community outside the stadium is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I think that I belong to, teacher groups and things like that. And we don't always have those vibes.
You nailed it on the head, Terry. Thanks for coming back this week. Oh, so happy to see you. Being 62, I've seen a lot of fandoms. Same here. But Army is the first that I know of that reaches out to
knitting
other like we do. Yes, the knitting. Exactly. It's we're a phenom. This is why you see me scrolling what we are. We're a global phenom that cannot be rivaled because of the unparalleled heart-to-heart connection that BTS and Army have formed over 10 years. That's actually a statement taken straight out of my research, just as an FYI. It is actually mine. You guys coin it, take it, use it. We are this. Globally, the phenom that we are is not just unparalleled, but we're not, as we said many times, we're not reproducible. Because at any given moment, the nature of our heart-to-heart connection, our social connectedness, and our social emotional interactions, it's a two-way. It's called human exchange. It's called a dynamic of human exchange, which Angela, being as an educator, we have to work on that, because that's what, as in medicine and in education, that's actually the principle of our interactions. Yes, exactly. Perfect. And the Purple Heart projects in Vegas and all. Yeah, we're going to be touching on those with next week. There's so much. We're actually going to end up having to do one full show just on projects.
They're amazing.
There's just no way for us to fit it in. Absolutely no way. It just the clem, you know that word?
Yes.
That's what I get. I'm like this. So yes, somebody agrees with me. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we talked about, right? Is Army, it's a whole community with a common, we have that common connection, but then a lot of us, like you belong to the medical union, I belong to the teacher, the BTS teacher group, we all kind of have our other interests as well that kind of connect us. And so I think that it's been interesting to connect with people like you have literally around the world. Without having BTS, we would not have met them. We would not have connected with them or been a part of certain projects as well.
That is without a doubt. We had that conversation in our group this week about that. So I'm going to this big question in the bottom, and it's so big that we couldn't actually put it as anything other than a ticker. So try and read it through if you can. And then we're actually going to jump in and show, am I right? Am I on time for this?
Yep.
Am I showing the PowerPoint now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, here. So try and grab this one if you can. So how did our connection to Bangtan grow into the powerhouse of altruism, advocacy, wellness, support, coping, and togetherness that we are today and will continue to blossom into as we follow the healing messages of Bangtan? So what it is we're doing as Army, on a whole, there, again, different levels, but key example, just take myself. When I first started, remember, it took me years to taper, to slowly figure out who I was in this this social culture, this social emotional culture. Yes,
Right.
we are a social emotional community based on the healing messages of Bangtan. I hope
Right.
everyone is able to grab those words.
Right.
But the culture of Army, of BTS Army, is based on this particular ticker you see going down here. How did our connection to Bangtan grow into the powerhouse of altruism, advocacy, wellness, support, coping, and to get this that we are today? This is where we are constantly transforming and transcending. We're not static. We've said this many times. Now, being from the other side, working and living in the other side of the world, what can you tell me about how we're blossoming as that type of powerhouse?
Well, I mean, I really, living in Doha, I think that it's been an interesting to see kind of the evolution of an army in the Middle East, let's say, where it's a challenge to see people, let's see, connect or reach out, especially females, right? But I think it's been amazing to see, the Qatar Army came out, and now we're even bonded more than ever in terms of, once we saw JK in the World Cup and things like that, and it was okay to show our love, kind of being out in public, because he performed at the World Cup,
In the
and it
world
was a
arena.
tough audience. It was not an easy audience, and we said there was maybe 300 of us there out of 80,000 people. And so we said, we're going to support him. We're going to, hopefully he will hear us. There was a fan chant, for his song. And I think we said, for Army, we need to show him that we're there. Yes, yes. And
we have to do it.
As soon as, he was finished and we heard people clapping, we thought, no one said one thing. Everyone was super supportive. No one said, why are you wearing those cookie headbands with your USA, soccer jersey? No, everyone, I walked back up. I was sitting with 20 teachers and they were like, wow, he can really move, Angela, and they were really supportive. And I think that's, it's definitely in certain parts of the world. And I can speak, having lived in Egypt and having lived in Qatar, those are places that are not the easiest to belong to a fandom, where you've got kind of different cultural, ideas and things like that. And so I definitely feel like it's definitely made progress and people are out. And I think you're going to see, with Army attending the Yet to Come movies, it's showing all over the world. It's showing here. It's showing in Egypt. It's showing in places, that have been a challenge maybe to have been an Army before.
It's going to be insane. I'm going all 4 nights. We're hosting our event on the 4th here. I had never had taken on that type of lead role. But when I came back, I just couldn't let the dynamic of what I had experienced in the year that I went on my Bangtaning journey, I couldn't just let that dissolve, right? I needed it because I realized it's a sustenance for me. And I'm going to keep this up, Terry. It is the connection itself, in my opinion. You are correct.
Yeah.
It's a sustaining, that connection is a sustenance for us. It helps us to be able to remember, we talked about the positive neural and the negative neural pathways and shit. We need to have positive triggers, and we need to have that type of feedback and input in order for us to hopefully shift towards having positive thought. Well, what we're putting at the bottom here, I'm going to just go back to what Namjoon said. Just a sec. Let me just hold on. Hey, Terry, let me just grab what this quote by Namjoon, okay? Thanks, love. So wherever you are, wherever we are, BTS and Army is the same word. Okay. Mind blown. The second I was like, dude, okay, I totally get what you're saying here, right?
Yeah.
It just sounds different, but I see the same word when we say BTS and Army.
I love it.
Dude. And it's what he said at the end of the clip that I wrote.
Right.
What
Right.
people forget, what people don't neglect or don't pay attention to, because they still don't. As much as they understand us at the global market, and as much as we literally were relevantly, acknowledged at the Korean Business Association and asked to create this entire, thread of research, which is now being done around the world.
Yeah.
It does not necessarily mean that people acknowledge the power that we are, the dynamic power that we have, because it's infallible. It's unthinkable, not infallible. We are not infallible. Let's just say, because we make mistakes. Let's just like, it's unthinkable. Why is that, Angela? How about Terry? Because I know Terry's in here too. Terry, if you want to just turn on your mic and answer, why do you think it has been so difficult for people across the world to just acknowledge how transcendent we can be as a fandom? I'm curious to get other people's take on that.
Definitely.
Terry Warner. I was asking you to just chime in and give us an answer. You did it. Okay, cool. Go ahead. No? Terry Warner's backstage for us. We're trained. She's one of our lovely team, and has been learning the ropes of what it is to run StreamYard in the back. There's a lot of pieces of that puzzle. So I'm hoping we can answer this question for us pretty soon. When you're ready. Oh, okay, go ahead. Did you want to answer?
Well, I think part of the problem is because a lot of people are still stuck in that things that happened in Texas. Oh, all those people killed themselves because one person told them to do it. So we're seen as following not a group of young men with something to say, but it's like, because it's different for so many people, they're saying, oh, well, you're just all a bunch of fanatics and nothing you say is really true. And one of these days, you're just going to fall off the earth and, not be around anymore because you can't sustain what you're doing for any length of time, which right now we're totally in the process of showing them. But I don't think that they believe that we believe in ourselves as much as we do.
I'm thinking. I agree. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. But let me ask you then, because of where you're from, where Angela and I are from, or even the Terry Roselli, who's from Atlas, and formed that group. How is it possible, do you think, especially at our ages, and I'm going to be honest about this because we're in a very different demography here. We're in the unexpected demography, aren't we? We're not the ones people expected to be leading these type of conversations. Why do you think it is, Terry and Angela, that we are able to sustain this momentum then? You saw our analytics this week. I will share that with everyone. You saw our analytics. You saw who's out there. Why do you think we're able to sustain this momentum?
I think it's because, for me, I found an answer to my own and a lot of other people's hurt in following them. Ways out, positive feedback from people saying, hey, you can get over this. We did. Come with us. We'll help you. We can, we're good examples. The people that see us, there's like no negativity. There's no reason not to believe anything that we say. And we don't put it out to people like, oh, we're better than you. Everything is based on a background of love and caring for what's going to happen to people. And I think that's finally getting through. There's too much hurt out there, and people are grabbing at something to be able to help them. And I think that we're providing that, and they're starting to see that. Because we're older, we've seen more of it, and we also can say that we know that there's a way to overcome it. And I think that speaks to a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Right there. That's it. So our analytics prove that first of all, thank you so much to our global army. I'm overwhelmed at the love that you guys that everyone across the globe is showing to this show. If I told you where our reach is and the amount of people we have who are viewing, and the ages it's from 17 to 65 plus. We are reaching people across across genders, locations, geographies, demographies. And it's incredible to me that we have the 12+% male population or male identifying followers as well, which is, it's pretty incredible because our show is not gender anything. We just speak from the heart. And I think that that's an important part of what you were saying about the sustenance. Army in and of itself is a family, like Terry said. We may not always get along, just like siblings do. We have, there may be fighting and there may be, oh, I like this thing better than you think, or my thing is better than you. Why do I say that? We're allowed to have those type of inner conversations. We're allowed to have those inner discussions. But in the long run, we're here because of one commonality. We're here because of one common unit.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and I think we also talked a little bit about this, right? The need for, there's a huge COVID army, right? Of people that kind of found BTS during COVID times when people were feeling kind of isolated, alone, working at home, no human connection except through a computer. And I think that finding that community and being able to have a safe place, being able to get back to that, human connection, whether you attend cup sleeve events or, things like that, slowly coming out of COVID, people needed that. People needed that connection back to a positive community.
I love this. I put this up here because I wanted, let me see if I can get off this 1 second. Thank you. This is from September 6, 2020. And I put the name of the person who posted it. Here's a video it was a video from Korea Now on how Jin's words and lyrics inspired a mother to love herself and help to improve her relationship with her daughter. Look at when this was from. This is 2 years old. This was a while back. And, I went through and all I found so many of these statements and testimonies.
Right.
So many of them were above 20. That doesn't mean that obviously everyone has a different way to be able to assimilate and process what Bangtan means to them, what the bulletproof concept means to them. But regardless, I'm going to say sustaining, inspiring, and motivational. So right away, we went off on a tangent because I had to ask these questions. I was like, I'm asking them. That's it. So I apologize.
No, it's great.
Angela knows I went off back, which is always the way I am.
It is. It's okay.
So as we said last week, being part of a community that can have a positive effect on mental health and emotional well-being. Community involvement provides a sense of belongingness and social connectedness. It can also offer extra meaning and purpose to everyday life. This is what you tell people when anyone questions why you are part of a fandom that is as supportive as this.
Right.
And whether it's other fandoms too, don't get me wrong. Remember, there's a lot out there that are just as supportive. And no, there are quite a few that are just as supportive. So this just happens to be the one that we've connected to and that has brought us together as a family at a global level. I'm going to play this. I'm going to just keep because Terry's answering our question, the other Terry. So we're going to start with that. You want to go ahead and get Dulcet Magic Shop ready?
Yes. Well, so like we did last week, we talked about a couple of songs that were kind of for Army, written for Army, have kind of messages. So we're going to grab Magic Shop.
With the help of BTS's youngest member, I hate that it goes so fast.
Did it?
Yeah, it still does. Even though I know you said it to go faster. These reels will be going up on our Instagram and on our TikTok at Living Bangtan 7. So please look for those because we just started to post them this week. The longer reels will go up on YouTube. But actually, I'm pretty sure we're going to put them all up on YouTube, these two.
When I first heard Magic Shop, I had to, I guess, listen to the lyrics a few times, but when you kind of realize the message, right? So the Magic Shop, for me, is one of my most powerful, powerful songs. And I think that it's, kind of, where can you find a refuge? Where can you find a place for comfort and heal if you're sad? And so when I always kind of have had that part sung, so show me, I'll show you, when I've, heard that in a venue or something like that. I mean, it's really like I take that on. I take that on, them kind of challenging me, saying, so show me. So show me, Angela, show me your best self. Show me your, what can you contribute? Right. And I do take that really seriously. And into the classroom, I do often say to myself before I come in the classroom, be a good teacher today. Do what you can do today. Be a good person. And I've really, that's like, that song is the one really that kind of gets me to like challenge myself. That's my take on Magic Shop is, so show me and I'll show you. Like I say to myself, I'm going to show you today, that I can do this. And so I really, that for me, that song is beautiful, beautiful.
So Magic Shop was born from JK reading a book that I could not have imagined at his age that he would have read. But James Doherty, who is a neuroscientist, hello, my world, that just vindicated. I felt so validated when I found that out. And in this song, he says, look, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that there are moments I hate myself. I don't believe in who I am. I'm good, but I am going to be like a rose when it's blooming. It has to start somewhere. It starts as a seed, right? It doesn't bloom into the flower right away. Okay, sure. There are moments when I want to disappear, but I also understand if I just take a step back, drink that cup of hot tea or hot milk, as they say, and I look at the Milky Way. When he's talking about that hot tea and hot milk, he's actually talking about taking in all the beauty around you. He's about taking in the beauty and the grace of and the gratitude of what you do have now, and letting that be the thing that you imbibe and that sustains you. This song is about the sustenance we're talking about. This is how Bangtan has become a sustaining force for motivation, inspiration, and strength. This song.
And I really read, I mean, that book became like a bestseller in Korea after this song. And I mean, for people to have read that book about, connecting, kind of brain research and things like that, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That book was like Magic Shop was a solidifier that I could take what I do and merge it with my absolute love. And I told you that. And I when I said I felt validated, I felt validated. I no longer self-judged myself, because you knew I self-judged myself for at least 4 years after I found them, because I didn't want to believe in who I was. It's not that I didn't know how to believe in it. I was teaching it to the world. But here I was not believing it for myself. That should tell you that these are what it's called learned behavior. You and I understand that very well. If a child of any age has learned that they're less than, or that they have to compromise what their belief is, their self-belief is, their self-value is, in order to be able to manage the status quo, they're going to step back and not believe in what their own truth is. Magic Shop and the next song you're going to put up now is telling us, take a breath, drink that cup of tea, take it all in and be sustained, and know if you show me, I will show you. I will show you the best of me. You show me the best of you, I'll show it to you back. We're here. That same great communication.
That partnership.
That partnership. And then Dulcet. Now, the thing is of course, Dulcet came first. Dulcet was actually in Wings, which I'm not going to talk about today.
This song, when you see this song performed live, I mean, it's powerful. The message, but them. Here we go. Oh, there we go. This continues to be the fan song, if you ask me.
I believe so. I 100% believe it. to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So much
Mm-hmm.
so that Dual Set is actually the name of my company.
Mm-hmm.
Because it took me the longest time to figure out what to call it. And it had
Right.
to be something that made sense and something that motivated me every day to believe in
Right.
what I was doing. So I said, okay.
The messages in there, erasing sad memories, they're not saying really like you have to go through it. You can't just ignore it. It's there. You have to go through it, and you're going to come out on the other side a better person, a stronger person, like they did. I mean, they had to go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a healing journey, right? So they're like, show me I'm 3, it's a healing journey. So I mean, I really think.
Oops, you froze. Angela froze. We're going to put that back up a second there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you back, Angela?
Yeah, I'm here.
So I've been trying to tell you this. I was supposed to tell you this. This is all for you. Let's only walk together because you're idols. I don't have to hear your music to know it sucks. I don't like your lyrics. They told us straightforward that these are the things that they were hearing.
Right.
That they knew that this was going to be part of the life that they were going to experience. Namjoon said it in that ment I showed you earlier before. He said, we came into this knowing and expecting that we were going to get hate. We expected this. We just needed to know and hope, and we prayed that there would be something on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And they found us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So every day, Terry and Angela, as we move forward, we're at 5 o'clock now. We are in our last 15. What are the things, like say the dual set phenom and what Namjoon is saying now? Because you're talking about him in 2013 and now him in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know how I am about tying together discussions. I feel like Namjoon listened to himself then and then came back and said, but I should have followed up that conversation and told you this at the same time. But it doesn't matter what they said. It doesn't matter those words. What matters is that you can take a step back and take a breath, count to 3 and say, I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna erase that because that doesn't belong to me.
Right.
It's not part of who I am as a human being. So
I mean, the songs from last week and this week, personally, I haven't been fans of other groups. I can't recall, songs for a fandom, right, that really are powerful, like really give you messages of hope and give you messages of, there's a brighter side, come with us, join with us, kind of that support like that. There might be, but in terms of, ones that really can shape you, when you need them, you find them and their messages. And I think that being that partnership with Army, has supported them in their hard times. But I know that a lot of Army have expressed, some of the songs and some of these lyrics in these songs have really gotten them through some really challenging times. And so I think that, I love Magic Shop. I love 0 O'Clock. Some of those songs. What were the 2 that we talked about last week?
Well, we talked about We Are Bulletproof Eternal, and then we talked about
those are beautiful.
Microcosmos.
Microcosmos, yes.
So, and then we have 2 more for next week. Oh, I forgot to post the playlist. I promise you, if you guys watch all my sites, I'll post it to all of them. I'll put it on the Facebook page, on Twitter this week. I apologize. You inspired me to create a new one. So I am actually working on a new playlist for everyone that's based on somewhat of a timeline of the story, what they're telling us here. So I am just going to show you very quickly, if you guys bear with me. Hopefully it's here because my PowerPoint likes to disappear in the middle of me doing this. We're going to go through the next few slides real quickly. And just bear with me as I get it ready. I am... So we ended here last week.
Yeah.
Intersectional, connected, and dynamic fandom, a driving force of call to action fueled by the positive messages and ethos of BTS, a collective engine that challenges stereotypes, narrative, and definitions of fandom participation. Partners in effecting change and awareness in activities that support the improvement and actualization of the sustainability development goals and outcomes. The power of the collective is no more apparent than participating in projects that lift others. It's galvanizing, inspiring, and has no minimum requirement. Every little bit helps. A core tenet of being Army is promoting charity, sharing joy, and giving a helping hand to communities close to us. The form in which charity takes place is a micro or a macro. It is as small as act of kindness or as large as you can imagine. Using our platform, we encourage participation in a variety of different ways. And that's the OIA Army in South Africa. And the work they're doing, as you know, is phenomenal, but we'll go over that more next week. So how does BTS's dynamic engine address the 2030 sustainable development goals, sustainability development goals? It does that by raising awareness and actualizing positive activism, as we've been speaking about. We have, we'll talk about this from next week. We have One in an Army, which is a fan collective comprised of volunteers across the globe who use their collective skills for good, a nonprofit fundraising initiative run by Army volunteers. And they organize monthly charitable projects in honor of BTS. But also what they do is they create the warehouse as a directory of information and links supporting current and past charitable Army events, which you can see in the global map that they put up. Initiates collaborative projects led by BTS Army and groups across the globe. And they've, based on what we've seen, they actualize a $1 million donation match from BTS to the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. And since then, we're actually actively participating in actualizing multiple other projects. I would, and now, you know, being part of the Army Med Union, I get an opportunity to see things from a little bit of a different way. And I'm able to see the collective, the connective force behind how we can work with each other. At LB7, we already have had 2 organizations reach out to us to ask us to work with them, to be able to do projects together. I mean, I don't know. I count that as every ounce of success that's possible. That Army is asking us to work with them on projects. That's just...
Well, and don't you think a lot of that is, if people find BTS and they're having a hard time, they heal, and you can't help others until you've helped yourself and you've healed yourself. And so when you feel like you have that positive energy, you have that positive energy, and you feel like you've reached some place of peace within yourself, you know, that you're able then to contribute, like you said, to those larger projects, to give of yourself. Then it's hard to give of yourself when you're in a really challenging spot. But I think, you know, BTS helps you get through those times, and then you're ready to be, you know, to work with those projects and give to others. And I think that that's an important step that people don't realize, is really you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who give of themselves now in the name of Army and BTS.
Correct. Yes. No, hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah, millions. Yeah.
Millions. Maybe not the 40 million who have touched or toggled on, you know, being part of the BTS Army dynamic, but there's a suitable amount out there that are affecting the global market, as we've said, that are affecting the charting systems, that are affecting fashion. I mean, last week in fashion alone, we've realized a transformative movement in terms of the fashion industry acknowledging Hobie. I was going to say J-Hope, Hobie, Jimina, and Yoongi, that they're not just relevant in the industry of fashion, but that they are trend-setting in terms of industry. And that they're powerhouses because Army carries that much weight in terms of the global market.
Right.
So that's another whole slew of SDGs that we've touched on just there alone. Not just the social emotional connectedness, but the medical, because there's a lot of work we're doing in terms of medicine. We have the Army Job Board who's out there helping people to be able to find jobs. We have, you know, the medical union, as you know, work that they do is phenomenal. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully one day we'll have them on where they can explain a little bit about the depth of what it takes as medical professionals to create what they do and what we do. And then, you know, I am working with 3 other organizations as part of the research. They allow me to sit behind there. I'm just letting you guys know for transparency. I sit behind other support groups to hear and listen and learn what it takes to be able to have those the streaming agendas that we do, the charting agendas that we do, what it takes to be able to create that unity in the diversity across the globe. I'm just blown away every day at what we do as a global engine. I am just blown away by us. Yep.
This is true. Well, you know, that ties into, I don't know if you want to, I think we have time, but we had a, you know, kind of a little talk about Celebrity Army.
Yes, please. Let's talk about that. Please.
You know, Celebrity Army is interesting. I think that I think John Cena, you know, has, you know, Chris Martin, Coldplay, you know, some of them have.
You want me to put it up?
Oh, yeah.
Let's play the reel. We got one ready for you guys.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was. These are not all the categories, by the way. Not in the least.
Some of their biggest armies.
This is just the ones who are obviously taking ownership of how much they are Army. They're not just Army in the sense that they like them or that they like their work. They physically, emotionally like these people. They love the boys. The boys have had a positive impact on them. You know, and the boys' ethos, you know, has had a positive influence on these people.
Well, and isn't that, you know, kind of, I think, you know, Jimmy Fallon has touched on that. Trevor Noah, when he talked about, you've seen some maybe clips of him when people have asked him at his show what it was like to be around them. And he's like, he could barely explain it. I mean, he just said it was so amazing. You know, you hear Chris Martin talk about them. You hear, I mean, Lizzo adores them. You know, so many people just, you know, have a connection to them. John Cena has talked about them. People that have, you know, gone to their shows, taken their children to their shows, and then they have become Army.
Matthew McConaughey is totally Army because he absolutely adores their ethos. He adores who they are. And, you know, it's so cool to me. He hasn't even met them. John hasn't actually physically met them, but they love them because they actually have such a beautiful, message. But what I have learned is that aura that we feel when we're sitting in that stadium, no one can explain it. We can. We just sat here for an hour and we were expressing why. But Eminem's daughter, absolutely.
That's right.
But I had that on there somewhere. Maybe it didn't end up on there. And I had put it on Machine Gun Kelly. He was like, I want to have them sing at my wedding. Oh yeah, absolutely. 100%. So many.
I mean, even now, you know, when I might have even missed that on the list, but when you even think of President Biden, I think he's probably Army too, you know.
His family is.
And then you've got, you know, politicians. I mean, that list said politicians and lawyers and scientists and doctors.
Remember, that's just the Western world. We actually didn't touch any of the rest of the world, hardly at all. Simply because we just went with these known factors. But honestly, I think we should probably go ahead and really, really like create the real list because it's going to be so long, which I think is phenomenal. So. Okay. Did we digress way too much, or did we stay on track?
We were good.
Pretty good. So we talked about the global phenomenon which we did before.
Yep.
The irreplaceable bond that fills the lives of both Army and the members with a strong love that is kinship, friendship, and unconditional. I have that banner up there if you want to grab that for me. That would be great. And then a collective engine whose model and design is so organically formed that it is simply not reproducible. And it's because we are transforming, we're transformative, and we're transforming every day. We are fluid. The BTS Army engine, collective engine, our model and our design is so organically fluid that it is impossible to relegate us to any static definition. We're never going to be that. You know, as I said, part of my research is showing our impact on the global market. That's going to take me a while to make that happen. But I cannot wait because, again, I'm constantly mind blown at what we as a global entity have the ability to affect.
Right.
I mean, we were able to, the boys, you know, were UN ambassadors. The boys are ambassadors for wellness and for ending violence. The boys were ambassadors for API and ending violence.
Right.
You know, in the Northeast. How do you get to that place? You get to that place because our relationship with them is so strong that people are listening. We're knocking on doors. People are hearing that BTS Army as an engine has a very, 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 very strong voice. Very strong voice.
That's true.
As Army in Twitter, we have done things. We have affected some massive drill downs, which we will not talk about. Because
there you go.
we won't do it. But
That's
let me just say, you know, the little meme is that BTS Army is the reason that Twitter survived, you know? Did you know
I think some people can get a little bit worried sometimes about about Twitter Army.
It's okay. I mean, there's a balance in anything.
Yep.
Those are where the OG armies are, because that's how we had the ability to connect to each other. And the boys didn't have Instagram. They didn't have ways for us to connect to them except through Twitter. So that is where we connected. That and then the fan cafe. We didn't even talk about fan cafe. Yes, I agree with you. We are here. We didn't even talk about that because that's not actually what this conversation's about. That's just our personal experiences. I'm not going to qualify or quantify the personal experiences that we've had through social media. That's our own experiences. I just know who I've met through those platforms and how I've been able to form strong bonds with people because of it.
Yep.
And that's what really matters in the long run. It was the strong
right.
bonds that we're able to effectively and create these beautiful connections. It's like the strings. There's a Buddhist and a Sanathanist philosophy about strings of connections from the heart to heart and how people are connected in that way. And I feel like we're like a spider web of connection. 40 million strong, you know?
It's true. That's very true.
And all of that was made possible because of our fans, and the boys will say that every day. I really hope that they get a chance to watch these 3 shows.
Oh.
I really do. Somehow I'm just hoping, because I want them to understand that this is, you know, that this is the love we have for them.
Their effect.
And their effect, absolutely. So I think we're good to close, unless we didn't do the reading, the other one, because we're gonna hold off on that. We're just gonna do the news now, right?
Yep.
So I really hope we were able to help you understand the dynamic connection and the engine that is Army, why we are a dynamic duo, and why we'll continue to be that.
That's right.
I don't think we're stoppable, and that's okay. Many people have tried, but it's okay. It's not gonna. We're here. We have 2 feet, and we love each other dearly, and we're going to keep going.
That's right. And so we're just going to close this week with, it was another busy week.
Oh my God.
We've got this week. Oops, sorry.
Get the banners off so that you can, the whole wonder.
We had Hobie, Jim, and Yoongi in Paris for Fashion Week. We were announced we're going to see Tae's participation in the new show, which I think is going to be fun. We've got Yet to Come this week in theaters. We've got coming in a couple weeks announced Hobie at Lollapalooza. His show is going to be on Disney Plus.
His documentary airs on February 2nd.
Documentary.
Yep.
And we've got a Run BTS episode coming this week as well. So things to look forward to and yet to come in theaters.
And I just sent you that Namjoon just broke records again with the Billboard top 100 and top 200 about the sister being the only K soloist. Right.
That's right.
I have sustained numbers on both of them.
That's awesome.
Which is because of and the top albums as well as what Jin had done. I don't want to downplay because really the members have just been it's just been smashing records.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Smashing records. And I think Yet to Come is going to smash records this weekend.
Of course it is, because it always does when we're in the theaters. We always smash records.
That's right.
Who we are.
That's right.
And we're going to leave you with one little ment from our lovely Jinnah. And not because I'm Jinnah biased, guys. I happen to I found this one. And I was like, no, this is perfect. This is what we need. I lie. Oh, this is what we need to do. And I think we should probably do this as we end every session. Big breaths in and out. I do this with patients on a regular basis, especially when I have stress. I have them do healing breaths with me. Any of you feels lost or the pressure of starting anew, don't rush. Take a breath. Allow yourself to take it easy, because any moment can be turned into an opportunity.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of paraphrased. It's not exactly what he said, but it is as goes. Aww. Your husband did well. Yes.
Oh, I can tell you all about Lanny and her love for.
Oh, don't worry. I have an entire army collection of Namjoon, of which I'm right there. So don't.
He's constantly out Namjooning the world.
That's my life. I Namjoon. Namjoon is the one who inspired me to Bangtan, because I create. I because nobody had ever used the word Bangtaning. They'd use Namjooning, and I thought about it, and I said, well, what I'm doing. Terry's so funny. You're so okay. I'm not gonna try, Terry. I'm not doing it.
No, I can't. No,
let's put a little bit of helium air in my mouth. Right? It's not gonna happen. Yes, we can hear him. Absolutely. It lives rent free in my head. Don't worry.
Too many things live rent free in my head. We could do a whole show on like Army inside jokes, like things you could only say that Army would get.
Only Army would get.
You could do a whole, and no one would get it unless only Army.
Oh my God. Or oh my God, I just lost it. It went out of my head. The from the tops, Jimin's thingy. Okay, I'll remember it later. Because it was the password to get into the for Jimin to get in and for Tay to get in out of the house isn't in the soup.
When he was stuck in the soup, when he was stuck outside.
Oh my God, I like
Rock Bison.
Rock Bison.
Rock Bison.
Rock Bison. No, sorry. Oh my God, now we're totally digressing and going a little
very
crazy.
digressing.
I am. Thank you.
If you know, you know.
We touched on Run BTS. I mean, that's my my soft spot. That's my wellness. That's my everything.
That's when you want to laugh out loud.
I'm outside and the kids are like, she's watching Run BTS. They know me.
Very true. BTS forever.
Yes, forever. How many of you, and we're going to close up now, and I just wondered how many of you got your vinyls?
Beautiful.
How many of you got them?
No record player here.
I have one. It's right behind me. Look, right there. BTS.
Beautiful.
21, my record player. I won that one. Listen. Hobie's is really, 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 really heavy, and it has a lot of stuff in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right here, Terry. You better get it because, girl, let me just tell you, what's inside of here is phenomenal. I know we're supposed to be ending, but we didn't do an unboxing last time, so I figured I'd do one real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, look how pretty. It's so pretty. And that's the back.
I love the colors.
Oh man, you really need to get it. It's more vibrant than I expected it to.
Yeah.
But what I loved, because I was showing it to Angela, is you got to see the color of the actual album. Oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Hobie.
That's beautiful.
Isn't
Wow.
it gorgeous?
Wow.
You know,
That's gorgeous.
I think he matched it to his studio. Because he put it in his studio. Afterwards, I was like, oh, okay. So he didn't give us posters. He gave us, like, they're not the normal ones. They're hard. They're hard. They're easy to put up. Look at this. Look at this. It's all the lyrics. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Two sides, though, because now I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How do I put it up? I mean, it is Hobie after all. My little Trucia card is enthralled right now.
That's gorgeous.
Well, yeah, because we got some pictures that I know. The picture that broke the internet, aside from Jin's back, this picture right here broke the internet.
Nice.
And there we go. Ta-da.
Beautiful.
All of that was in there. And then there's a book, and the book is specific to the lyrics. I actually haven't even gone through it yet. The pictures that are in here are insane. You're so welcome. Wait. I mean, who doesn't want to have this in their lives? I mean, hello?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I took us over our time. So sorry.
Beautiful. Well worth it. Well worth it.
We needed to have this moment of nerding together. That, and I found my misplaced Jin book. Can you imagine I misplaced this? How does I do that? Me of all people. I was like, I am so sorry.
Isn't Indigo out on vinyl? I mean, it's out on vinyl too now, I think, isn't it?
They don't have it. They had a delay.
It's delayed. Okay.
I ordered it. There was a delay on it. We should be getting it soon. Yes, I know. That is exactly what I felt like when I opened it. And then within 2 days, I got my we'll do this one with the next show. My Love Yourself Her. The best part of the Love Yourself Her and why you should get it if you haven't is the PCs that are in there are ones that are not getting yet.
Oh.
And I'm going to show you guys with the next one or the one after, because I think we're doing a show on albums. So I'm going to show you my collection, which I've been really blessed. We're searching hard, and I think it's going to be, from what I understand, it's going to be color. So everybody be prepared and bring all of your albums, because we are trying to do a collective of all of them from the beginning. So I'm waiting for 2 that I ordered, which hopefully I'll have, so that we can sparse that out between 2 shows to go through all of the albums, the album covers, what they meant, and all of that's in the Proof Collection Collector's Edition. It's actually in there. Whew. Okay, we are ready to go. I am so sorry. I took us to an hour and 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I hope that everyone enjoyed this show. Listen, send us in topics that you want us to talk about, anything that you need us to cover. If you have any conversation points that you want us to talk about, as we move forward, and Angela and I will work on that. I want to make sure that we again give our humble gratitude to the original Army who filmed and shared the content which we use today, which allows us to have access to the members and BTS as a whole from the beginning. BTS as a team and the members share with us just how scared and unnerving it was to start out as a huge underdog in the industry. From pre-debut, the first fans were always supportive of the new genre and of the unique natures of the members. Yes, there were Suda fans at the time who followed other people who didn't support members equally, but thankfully as they grew, so did we, and OT7 became the philosophy we believed in and supported. Army began creating groups, organizations from the earliest days of their pre-debut, but became more formal post-debut, and when we received our official title, Army. So I should have probably talked about that a lot earlier, but that's actually what we're going to be talking about in our last show, it's going to be that where we lead into the formalization of Army and Army groups, which happened at the end of the first year and the beginning of the second year.
Right.
So thank you guys so much. Terry, did you guys want to say any last minutes, any thoughts before we jump off?
Nope, I have nothing. Just that I want to thank you two, though. It takes a lot of research to do this stuff. And it's really big on your guys' part to share all of your knowledge. I've only been Army for a little bit more than 2 years, and I have a lot of catching up to do, and you guys have been a big help in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning from Nisha every day.
I'm learning how much I know that I didn't realize I knew.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. My daughter tells this to me all the time. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I was there for that." And she's like, "Mom, I sat next to you. We watched that drop," and I'm like, "Oh."
It's amazing.
Yes, because life is what it is, and we don't always acknowledge something that is so meaningful in our life until it's time. And that's okay. Like we said, you become Army at the level that you're Army when it's time for you to be that Army.
That's right. That's right.
That in Korea, there's someone who loves us.
Mm-hmm.
And just know, Army, that there is someone in Doha who loves you, someone in Orlando who loves you, someone in Turkey that loves you, someone everywhere that loves you. Trust me, we all know the importance of what it is to feel this love, and may we always have this, and may we always share this bond and this common absolute heart-to-heart connection with our Bangtan. Thank you so much from LP7.
Thank you.
Oh, I have to say that.
Good
Hey, we Army. We love you. See you next week. Check our timing because I think it'll be 4:30 again. Okay?
Yeah. Perfect.
Bye.